Welcome to episode 65 of Timm Talk, the podcast about the DC animated universe co-created by Bruce Timm. I'm Chris Lord.
I'm Cameron Dexter.
And so we realized after last week there was a whole bunch of news we just forgot to talk about.
You know, Chris, I think I'm going to say we're staying on brand.
That's true. Just being really bad at this.
Yeah. We can't let people think that we're getting good at this because then we're going to set expectations.
No, luckily we've set them incredibly low and we still fail to hit that expectation.
That's
every week.
You know, that's our tagline. Timm Talk, missing the low expectations.
Consistently shitty.
Yes.
But there is some cool stuff to talk about, though. We missed like all the trailers. There's
Right.
tons of trailers that are, at this point now it's like 2 weeks ago, but we didn't even talk about them.
We'll briefly mention that.
Yeah,
There's one big news that I'm sure everyone knows about. At this
the
point.
bulk of this will be dedicated to one particular news story because there's a lot to dissect there. But let's get through a few trailers real quick. So did you see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse trailer?
It looks so good.
It looks really gorgeous, yeah.
I'm excited. Is this getting a theatrical release?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm excited that we're finally getting like theatrical animated superhero films.
Yeah, I think, I still feel like the less Sony's involved with this sort of stuff, the better. And this is like purely a Sony thing. It has nothing to do with the MCU. Mm-hmm. But that being said, it looks really good. It looks different. I like that it's Miles Morales.
I love the style.
Yeah, I love the art style. I love that we're getting like multiple Spider-Man in there. Like Peter Parker, I guess, is going to be like a mentor figure for him.
Yeah.
Which can be interesting. Yeah, I rewatched it today. I'm excited about it.
I'm very excited about it. I feel like for the longest time, I always said DC held the reins on the animated movies. But over the past couple of years,
really fallen through.
When they started doing like the one a year, I feel like the quality dropped. The stories weren't as interesting.
Well, no, because now they're just doing like one New 52 style story and then one kind of random thing. And even their random things haven't been very good recently.
Right. And so I feel like it's time for Marvel to be like, hey, we know how to do this shit too.
Yeah.
Let's just up this up. Let's jump this up another level.
And as confusing as it can be for like, I'm just gonna say normal people, like people who aren't super well versed on this sort of stuff, that there are two different Spider-Man movies. It helps one that one's animated and the other's not. That helps differentiate. But also the kind of cool thing about this now is if it's not great, we are still getting great versions of Spider-Man anyways. Mm-hmm. I mean, so it's like, oh, it's fine. Like, this can be a whole extra bonus thing. And if it's good, that's awesome. And if it's not, well, it's fine. We're still getting a really good version of Peter Parker in the MCU.
Yeah. And I'm sure it will be because animated Spider-Man series have generally been have usually been the best kind of animated stuff that Marvel puts out.
Yeah, I remember the 90s one was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was one that was on, I want to say MTV, like between Spider-Man 1 and 2.
I don't know that one.
Yeah. It was okay. Like I have it on DVD somewhere. And it's like the art style is kind of cool. It's like that weird, like mostly CGI, but like meant to look kind of 2D sort of thing.
Okay. This is interesting.
Yeah, that was fine. And then, but I've heard that like
I can remember that. Oh, that was okay. That's when Neil Patrick Harris was Spider-Man.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. There've been a few other Spider cartoons recently that I think have been pretty good as well, right?
The new animated series.
Yeah.
Ultimate Spider-Man, which is the series that I think just ended and now has been replaced with Spectacular Spider-Man, which I also heard is good.
Yeah, I've heard good things. So.
But Ultimate was amazing. Mm-hmm. Voiced by Drake Bell. Which was always exciting for me.
Yeah, he would have been, I think, at a certain point, a good Spider-Man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Too bad he did a live-action Fairly Odd Parents movie instead.
Oh, yeah.
I know. But yeah, he was great as the voice actor. And then they did a great job introducing a lot of the side characters in that series.
Oh, that's right.
Because it's like the Spider team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Luke Cage, Iron Fist,
Daredevil?
No.
Oh, that would be cool.
Oh my God. Where's the
Madam
Nova?
Web.
Nova. Like,
throwing
he
random
has
things
the
in.
helmet. Nova
Mobius.
and White Tiger.
Okay.
Are the core team, all kind of like they're setting themselves up to be the next event, like the new Avengers.
Oh, okay.
Because they're all working under Fury.
Oh, yeah, because Fury's in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the things that I loved about the Ultimate Spider-Man comic. What is it? Introduced Nick Fury, and he's like, hey, kid, once you're 18, you're mine.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't read far enough to see how that panned out. But I've actually heard that series continued to be really good. Because I think Bendis stayed on all the way through, right?
Okay.
Why am I asking you? Trevor?
Fuck
Fuck,
hey, guys.
He's not here.
Thanks for having me back on.
We need him here for these sort of questions. I
I
don't know
know.
any of this sort of shit. Or Frank.
Yeah, or anyone that's
Amanda.
not us.
Or Chris, actually. Any of them. We'll ask them on Monday. Yeah, but I know I'm excited about it though. I mean, this can be not quite in the same vein, but it's kind of like our Lego Batman, where it's like, okay, cool, we get its own separate thing. It's be fun, enjoyable.
Yeah.
Did you see the Batman Ninja trailer?
Oh, is that the anime?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I rewatched it again today. Okay, I feel like I should enjoy anime, and I can't.
You should.
I know. And
I want you to watch
something-
My Hero Academia.
something about it. Just I can't connect with it somehow. It's some combination of the art style of the. I mean, because I watch stuff in foreign language all the time.
Oh, that was my question. Do you watch foreign films?
I think it has something to do with the art style being its own different thing.
the
melodrama, the fact that it's in a different language. I don't know. There's somehow I cannot quite get into it.
Okay. I still feel like My Hero or Hiroaka is going to be your entry
Well, I
point.
feel like what I should do is sit down and watch like a Miyazaki film, which I've actually never seen any of them.
Oh, I have all of them. If you
Okay,
wanna
yeah, I should watch them at some point. I feel like if I get into one of those movies, maybe I can sort of get over. Because I honestly wish I was more into this sort of stuff than I am. It's a whole aspect of nerddom that just escapes me entirely, and I want to be a part of it, but I just.
Well, I feel like this is not me making fun of your age.
You probably should.
You old man. Go watch Speed Racer and Astro Boy. The first two anime that came to America.
I know what both those things are. I've known you for a while now.
I feel like you were just out. Like you were just out of the age bracket when anime hit like Cartoon Network.
Oh yeah,
and sci-fi. Like you just missed the Toonami phase.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely
Dragon
true. Like I
Ball,
think the
Naruto.
closest thing to anime that I've ever been into was Teen Titans, and that's its own. Even then, that's its own thing. It just takes a lot of inspiration from that.
Right. Yeah. Teen Titans and Avatar.
Never watched
like
Avatar.
God,
I know. You know this.
I know. I put it out of my mind every time because I don't want to believe it.
You just black it out every time you possibly
I
can.
don't want to believe it.
I mean, it's all off of Amazon now at this point, right?
Yes.
I'll sit down and watch it at some point.
You should. I have all of it.
I know you have all of it. You have all of everything. Yeah. I mean, look, we're gonna watch it.
Yes.
I feel like we should watch it and have Shane on.
Yeah,
Shane loves
Avatar.
anime. Yeah, so we should have him on. No, I'm talking about
yeah.
Batman Ninja.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do a digression where we watch all of fucking Avatar and Legend of Korra. We have enough to get through as it is.
Did you ever watch Cartoon Network put out a series of shorts? I want to say it's either called Batman in Shanghai or Shanghai Batman.
You sent that to me. I fucking loved it.
Yes. So that's what I kind of expect this to be.
Yeah.
I think I plugged it a few months ago.
I remember, because I remember watching it. I think part of it for me is the melodrama too. Like even watching this, like I even kind of like the designs. There's also a lot of Batman characters in this. Like when I rewatched it, there's everyone is in it. So I feel like from a design perspective, I probably really appreciate it. But I know it's a little too heightened.
Okay.
For me, I don't know.
Okay.
I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot.
I was gonna say no. I was going through the Rolodex of anime of just like what is the most overly heightened anime that I watch? Like every sports anime is so wonderfully over the top.
And here I thought you were sitting there trying to find a way to criticize me without just calling me racist.
No. Oh no, not at all. I understand people have different tastes and stuff, and I understand anime is not for everyone. Especially if you're not into the kind of melodrama of it, then
the melodrama.
I was trying to find. Because obviously One Punch Man is the one that makes fun of all of the melodrama.
But that might work for me then. Because if it's smart and subversive of the melodrama, then I might enjoy it. I should actually watch One Punch Man because I feel like I would really like that.
Well, I'm also curious how you would take it having not seen what it's making fun of. Because yes, it's loosely making fun of the American superheroes, but it's a bigger parody on Japanese hero antics.
Oh, and how it might be a little lost on me.
Mm-hmm. There's a few other shows that I've been meaning to watch that have that same kind of parody about them. There's a show called Samurai Flamenco, CO.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Isn't the flamenco a dance?
I think so.
Okay. I can look it up. I won't.
But yeah, I've heard that's another one that that really kind of parodies that superhero story.
Well, we'll sit down, we'll watch Ninja Batman,
Yes.
and then we'll just add on an hour to the recording so you can talk about anime.
I will. You can just leave, not just talk.
I'll just walk out the door. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll bring on my friends from back home who actually know anime.
Well, good. I'm glad you have some support because I ain't got shit
I'm
for
a
you.
surface level anime fan.
One other trailer, Jurassic World
Yes.
2.
Uh-huh.
It's so sad.
That's fine.
I mean, okay, so everyone was like, "Oh fuck!" Like they've spoiled the ending. Apparently, that's when like the first hour. So I guess that reveals none of the third act.
Mm-hmm. Are you talking about the part where all the dinosaurs run into the
It
ocean?
made me so sad. Like, can they swim?
I'm sure they can.
But like, they're off a cliff. How far do they have to swim to get to the beach? Do they have the kind of energy to get themselves there? Like, how many dinosaurs are going to die in this movie?
All of them.
I'm unprepared for this, Cameron.
Are you? I am so uncaring about this franchise right now.
I am so unprepared to be emotionally invested in a bunch of CGI dinosaurs and not emotionally invested at all in any of the human characters except for Jeff Goldblum, who's probably only going to be in for 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, he says his one line, and
Yeah,
then
he got it in there.
You see him walk off the set, like that's the only footage they could get of him.
Just wanders off to go play the piano somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. I want it to be good. I liked Jurassic World. I thought it was a fun ride.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way that I think like The Force Awakens was like a fun ride and just a rehash of A New Hope, Jurassic World was like a fun ride and a rehash of Jurassic Park for me, with like good moments, but overall kind of eh. So I don't like Chris Pratt's mustache. It's a very specific critique.
That's fine.
But he pops up with that mustache in the Infinity War trailer too. I'm just like,
Have you
I'm
heard
not digging
the joke about that?
No, what is it?
That they put the mustache in because they knew about the mustache gate from Justice League.
From Justice League? I mean,
yeah.
I would love
Like,
if that were a
our
thing.
heroes can have mustaches. We don't care.
I was listening to a podcast interview with Henry Cavill, and so at the time the interview was done, this is the Empire podcast, he couldn't confirm that he was in the movie, so the whole interview was like kind of playing with that. It's a really funny interview, but they asked him like, well, if you happen to be in Justice League, we heard this thing about the mustache, what would you do? And his kind of joking reasoning was that the stuff he was doing in Mission Impossible was so intense that his own hair barely stayed on, much less like a fake mustache. It's like, I will give him credit for being able to take that situation, like poke enough fun at it to like play it off.
Yeah.
He is very charming in interviews.
Oh, yeah.
He's way more charming in interviews than he is as Superman.
Superman, yeah.
Like, I watch him as Superman. I'm like, I don't want you to be Superman. I listen to him talk about playing Superman. I'm like, I want you to play Superman. Can you just bring that into the movie?
Yeah,
and
just
then I would
be Henry Cavill
Yeah.
as Superman. Don't be Superman.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Just be yourself, but now you can fly. Just take that and run with it.
Maybe he can fly.
I think he can.
Oh, that'd be
I think the movie Superman is to cover for him actually being
Be able to
Superman.
fly.
They're like, yeah, I'm going to do such a bad job at this that no one would ever believe. He's doing the reverse Clark.
They had to CGI off the mustache because when he tried the laser in the mirror thing, he realized it just destroyed the mirror and it didn't work. So he's like, fuck, what do I do now? Shit. Okay. Still more news to talk about real quick. Did you see the confirmed slate from Warner Brothers Films for all the DC movies that are coming out?
I did not. That's
Okay, so I think
I
this is
probably
like
should have looked up.
Brazil Comic-Con. So it's a confirmed Aquaman, Shazam, Wonder Woman 2, Flashpoint, Suicide Squad 2, Batgirl, Green Lantern Corps, The Batman, and Justice League Dark.
God, all right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's not in there. Like, there's no Justice League 2, there's no Cyborg.
No Nightwing.
No Nightwing listed in there. No Joker and Harley. No Harley solo film. No Gotham City Sirens. No Joker origin with Martin Scorsese. I mean, look, I'm intrigued by Aquaman as I am with Shazam. I'm hoping that Wonder Woman 2 will not have a terrible third act and can just be its own good movie.
Yeah.
Skeptical about Flashpoint. Don't give two shits about Suicide Squad 2.
Nope.
I'm a little hesitant.
But it's going to introduce Black Adam.
Oh, it should just be
Because you know what that movie needed was more people.
There's more people just demanding screen time.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit hesitant about a Joss Whedon Batgirl now.
Yeah.
Not just because of Justice League, but because he too is also kind of a sex monster, and it just got kind of pushed under the rug, and no one's talking about it.
Oh.
And I feel like we should be. But
there was quick side note about that.
Yeah.
Did you see the episode or the website rottenapples.com?
No, is that
you type in a movie and it will tell you if someone is in a sexual harassment scandal from that movie.
Oh my god.
It's kind of funny.
I'm looking this up right now, and I know exactly which movie I'm going to start with. I know it's going to get at least 2 hits.
The 2 movies that I looked up that I was very happy have at the moment no sex scandals. Are Roger Rabbit is clean.
Oh, good.
And Scott Pilgrim is clean.
Oh, thank God.
Thank God, right?
Thank God.
I was very nervous about that one.
I chose Superman Returns. I thought I was going to get 2. I forgot about Marlon Brando. We got a good 3 in there along with Kevin Spacey and Bryan Singer.
Yeah. What a movie.
Okay. What were we talking about?
The lineup.
Oh, the lineup. Look,
DC.
half these probably wouldn't end up getting made. I will say what I always say. I want them to be good. I'm just hesitant.
Yep.
So, but the more that they let their creators actually make their own movies and the less that they're trying to make them just really generic and palatable and shoehorn and stuff, I think it'll be fine. Mm-hmm. So, okay.
I am curious, kind of leading into the next topic, how if the Disney Fox buyout will affect how Warner Brothers makes their movies, because now it's kind of less competitors, but it's a bigger single competitor. Will they conform more now that kind of all superhero movies are made on? I mean, minus the Venom movie, but all superhero movies are going to have kind of the Marvel, the Disney touch on top of them now.
I don't know. That's a good question. I actually hadn't thought about the effects this would have on DC because there's so much to go through just in terms of Disney and Fox alone. Mm-hmm. I think it might make them more desperate, which is bad because they've already been very clearly desperate up to this point. I think what's going to be interesting is the slate of comic book films is going to shrink now.
Okay.
I think that's going to be one of the big things because you think about it, Marvel, like even with Spider-Man Homecoming coming out, they rearranged the schedule to kind of fit that in there, but that became part of their like official run, right?
Right.
So that's part of their slate. Now, if they have to start including like what were Fox properties, they're going to be much more selective about what they put out there. So there's not going to be now we'll call it like a third major studio making comic book movies. It's just going to be 2. Mm-hmm. What will DC do? Actually, here's where it might be good for them. They might now take more risks.
I hope so.
Because that was one thing that I read from Mark Millar. So his response to this. So obviously we're talking about the fact that Disney has started the process of buying up Fox. Like it's officially announced. So probably like a year for it all to come through. Mm-hmm. But they're buying Fox. And
for $52 billion.
Well, so there is something to think about. So if you look at like when Disney bought Marvel, it was $4 billion. Mm-hmm. When they bought Star Wars, it was $4.4 billion. Mm-hmm. Both those seem low. However, one thing to consider with Fox, it's everything Fox except for Fox News.
And some of Fox Sports.
And some of Fox Sports and not Fox the channel because they're legally not allowed to own 2 networks. Mm-hmm. But it's obviously any properties. Actually, okay, I have a whole list.
Yeah, I also have a list.
It's insane. So it's a whole list of franchises, obviously including X-Men, including Fantastic Four, Kingsman, Alien, Planet of the Apes, Avatar.
Yep.
Oh God, where?
Don't forget about their most famous animated
Simpsons
movie series.
Oh, which one?
Ice Age.
Oh my God, Ice Age. Fucking Independence Day, Die Hard, The Simpsons, Family Guy, The X-Files, Buffy, Predator, obviously everything, X-Men, Goosebumps.
Most of the Wes Anderson films.
Futurama, Home Alone, like MASH.
Oh, good.
The Omen, the Peanuts. Like, so they have all of that, but then also all of Fox's back catalog. And that actually is a huge moneymaker for studios. They make so much fucking money off their archives. Mm-hmm. So that's, I think, part of what they're getting. I mean, you probably have to factor in like their actual studio lot as well into that.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Like, I mean, what do you think about this?
So I remember when I read the news, I woke up Friday morning, I saw the news, and I was very excited. Mm-hmm. I'm like, Disney is getting more stuff. Yeah. The more I looked into it, the scarier it seemed to me of how Disney, like as much as I love Disney, as I'm wearing a Disney hat, a Disney shirt,
Jesus
and my
Christ.
room is full of Disney.
Yeah.
It is very scary having one studio have a hand in everything. And yes, like I understand that they have a lot of subsidiaries that they're gonna like push things around. Because I had a talk with my mom last night about how they're gonna handle more of their adult content. Because now they also own FX.
Yeah.
That means Archer,
and
Always Sunny.
Yeah, and Fox and FX have thrived off the fact that they take risks. Like I remember reading an article once a while ago talking about Firefly specifically, and like everyone like bitches and moans about the fact that it got canceled, which sure is sad. But also every other network passed on it. Like Fox cancels a lot of stuff, but they take risks on things other places wouldn't.
Yeah.
I think that's fair of their movie slates.
Like Michael Gregory.
What is Michael Gregory? Like what?
I had to get one obscure one in there.
Man, you were just on point with your really obscure references.
I think that's what it was called.
Like I know some really obscure shit, and you were just going crazy
wait, that's
on
not
this.
the name of the show. No. What's the name of the show?
What?
It is. It was the Jonah Hill animated series.
Oh,
Alan Gregory.
I forgot about that.
Good.
Entirely. I think most people did.
It's a good thing.
I think he wanted to forget about it.
It was really bad.
Well, hey, Disney's got that now, so we can get that Alan Gregory revival we've all been
demanding. I can't wait for the ride to come into Disneyland.
Oh my god! But I mean,
it's just Jonah Hill sitting there talking about all his mistakes in life.
But you know, like one of the downsides to all this is, at the end of the day, now Disney is going to have a decision as to whether Fox greenlights projects or not, and they have to decide for themselves what that impact is going to be, and so there is going to get less stuff is going to get made.
Yes,
which
is sad.
It is kind of sad.
I also want to play devil's advocate to that point of since there's less competition, especially in theaters now, since Disney now owns 80% of theaters,
and really strong arms them too.
Yeah. I would like to think that means that they will be more open to trying new things because they know they will have a slot in theaters. I know it'll probably take a couple years for this billion-dollar blockbuster bubble to pop.
Like maybe, but at the same time, they're never going to want to compete with themselves.
That's true,
right? So let's say they have, so there's 52 weekends a year. Let's say that they're planning on releasing movies across 50 of those weekends. Mm-hmm. Disney has the bandwidth to do 50 movies out of their slate, and there's a little bit of cross counter programming going on there. But now, like, Disney's not going to put up a Pixar against a Star Wars, against a Marvel, against a Fox.
Oh yeah,
Marvel. Like,
those are unique like movies, though. I'm talking like in the late 80s when Disney was just kind of churning out how did he put it? Eisner said they were doubles and triples. He wasn't going for a home run movie. He was just getting movies that he knew would make some money. So we got Rocketeer, we got 3 Men and a Baby,
but
we got Rookie of the Year.
But no one makes those movies, and Disney hasn't made those movies
since the 80s. I know.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to start doing it now. Like I feel like what they're doing right here is they're buying more sure things.
Yeah.
So
what I really want to change the genre. We're getting super off topic with this at this point.
This is a big topic, though.
Yeah. Is with the rise of, I think as we put it, the big budget indies, A24 stuff, Fox Spotlight, which is now Disney Spotlight.
Fuck, you mean Searchlight?
Searchlight, thank you.
Yeah.
Sony has theirs.
Sony Pictures Classics.
Thank you. With the rise of those, I really want, because those are the risky movies. And I want those to have enough recognition from the big studios to be like, oh, we can still make these movies that don't have to cost $100 million.
Well, what's been interesting in that space is you specifically mentioned like A24 or Annapurna does a lot of this too. Like they're one of the few production companies out there that will make interesting films for like low budget, like really low budget things. Because even the indie branches of all the major studios, so you're talking. Well, not anymore, like Miramax, but Fox Searchlight.
Poor Miramax.
I know, you're talking, like Sony Pictures Classic, that sort of thing. at the end of the day, they're still getting greenlit by the heads of Sony and the heads of Fox and stuff.
True.
And so the only movies that are getting made by those indie branches are they're Oscar-bation films. Mm-hmm. I've probably used that term on the podcast before.
I've never heard that term.
You never heard me talk about it? So people talk like an Oscar baity film.
Oh,
like so it's baiting an Oscar. I add the Asian on the end of it because I find a lot of them be pretty masturbatory. Because it's just like, all right, we're gonna take this like real life tragic struggling story. We're going to give, this is where I'm getting a little social justice warrior, some like straight white male actor a chance to play something slightly off brand for himself, and it's gonna be like, oh, the whole thing is like how it's like so daring for this person to do that sort of thing. You know, like the sort of movies they made fun of in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
Like I think like John Voight was blind and like Tom Hanks is in a wheelchair. It's like it's their efforts to try and just put out something that's just clearly meant to just bring in Oscars, and it's not daring or interesting.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. It's a weird world, and I want to bring up streaming to be another kind of branch of like that's another avenue. But then that also leads into, I'm sure you saw this, Disney now owns 60% of Hulu.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal.
That is a big deal.
You can just tell how exhausted I am already.
Well, I mean,
thinking about the grand scale, size of this thing.
They were already positioning themselves to compete with Netflix by pulling their content from Netflix and announcing their own streaming service.
Right, which is still going through. They still haven't confirmed for 2019.
Yeah, and so I imagine that the Disney streaming service will still probably be like really Disney-focused branding. Like, I don't think we're going to see Fox-specific stuff like pop up.
Oh no, I'm sure it'll still just be Disney.
Yeah, because they still want to do something with Hulu. But I did read something that pointed out one thing they can also do now is they can kind of strong arm other studios with stuff with Hulu. So like if they have controlling share of Hulu, then they can be like, okay, Warner Brothers, like if you want to have your stuff on here, then you can't put it on Netflix.
Right.
And then Netflix is now like spending so much money to do their original content. But even for me now at this point, like I don't actually care that much about a lot of their original content because they do so much stuff that their brand is diluted.
Honestly, I feel like the only original series it's like the original Netflix stuff that I watch now is just stand-up specials.
Yeah.
They've kind of cornered that
they've
market.
Cornered that, which is
and
great.
I love it. And
yeah.
that's all I kind of use it for right now.
Yeah, but you know, there was a period there I'm like, oh, like Netflix has a new show. Like I'll watch that.
Yeah.
Because they do really good stuff. And now it's like, oh, Netflix is dropping 5 new shows this month. And one of them's like a stoner comedy with a laugh track starring Kathy Bates. I love Kathy Bates. I watched like 5 minutes of it when my roommate had it on. I fucking hated it.
Is that the Just Baked show?
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah. And they have like a weird like branded storefront right there on Santa Monica Boulevard, right by my apartment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's an actual dispensary or not. I don't fucking know. It doesn't matter. But like the show was horrible. It was like really obvious, shitty sets. Who still uses a fucking laugh track? I don't want to get into it. The Big Bang Theory.
I was going to say Big Bang
The
Theory.
Big Bang Theory. Okay, we've been talking about this a lot. We haven't even talked about the fact that Marvel Studios now is going to have the mutants.
Yes.
Huge thing.
Fuck the Inhumans.
Oh my god, yeah.
We're finally getting mutants.
I mean, thank God the Inhumans
They
are
tried
dead.
so hard to make the Inhumans thing work.
So we know that all the 2018 Fox films are still going to come out. So
Right.
Dark Phoenix, Deadpool 2, and New Mutants are all going to come out.
Right.
It becomes what happens after that.
Yes.
Pretty much every article I've read just across the board, like, oh, Gambit's not going to happen. I don't know if there's anything to prove that's not going to happen. It probably won't happen. I mean, this is good, right?
I am so curious because this is another point I brought up to my mom. Disney is very good about kind of hiding their name when it comes to more adult-friendly things. Like in the 90s, they had Buena Vista Pictures.
Yeah.
To kind of cover up all of their more PG-13 R-rated movies.
Did they release anything R-rated on Buena Vista? I was talking to someone else about this. Maybe it was you, actually. I couldn't remember.
I don't think it was me.
Okay. I can't keep track anymore. I can't keep track of our on-air conversations and
right.
on-air conversations.
That's why I just try and not talk to you when we're not on air.
Oh, that's why.
Yes.
Oh.
It's not because I don't like you.
I mean, it's also that, too.
It's also because I don't like you. But what are they, like, with Deadpool? And Ryan Reynolds actually came out and spoke about this for a brief minute on Twitter, being like, what is going to happen to my movie once it gets Disney-fied? Like, are they going to... Because I feel like even if they make a new branch for superhero films, would it still be close enough to Disney for them to be able to put an R rating on a Disney film?
Yeah, I don't... I don't know, because you think about on Netflix, all the Marvel stuff there, that's all R-rated, or like it would be listed as like TVMA.
Yeah.
And that all happened after the Disney deal anyways.
And
so,
the Disney logo is nowhere to be seen.
Well, but the Disney logo is also nowhere to be seen on any of the Marvel films either. I think maybe the end it might say
At the end,
distributed by Disney. Mm-hmm. I don't know about the Netflix shows because it's not distributed by Disney. It's distributed by Netflix technically. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I imagine the Deadpool 2 will still be what it is now.
I feel like it's too far in for anything to change.
But I feel like if they were trying to do an X Factor as a Deadpool 3, I feel like that's probably not going to happen. Mm-hmm. Like, I imagine they're basically like, let these 3 movies come out, and then we're going to reboot all of it. And I feel like Deadpool is going to be the one sacrifice on there that's really going to burn. That's really going to suck. I'm fine with... I would rather have MCU absorb the X-Men, reintroduce them. As much as I love Hugh Jackman, this is the perfect opportunity to recast Wolverine because the MCU cachet is enough to have a recast.
Yeah.
Like, they can carry them through on that. I don't give 2 shits about New Mutants.
No.
So...
Do you think after 5 attempts, do you think Marvel will be able to figure out Fantastic Four?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they can. No, I legitimately think they can.
I think the world is already set up for them.
I think it is. I think that Fantastic Four needs the tone of the MCU. Mm-hmm. And then I wouldn't be surprised if they find a way to slip them in kind of the way they did with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
As well. Like, I feel like all these major reintroductions are going to happen as part of something else.
Yeah. And especially after Infinity War, we're going to get really into the space travel side of Marvel.
Yeah.
And in the comics, that's always been the Fantastic Four's area.
Yeah. So
that's Reed Richards' specialty.
Yeah. So we're probably going to get Galactus. But how do you do Galactus after having done Thanos?
I don't know. How do you do anything after Thanos?
Are they going to change the plans for the 4th Avengers movie to include mutants or to include the Fantastic Four or Doctor Doom?
I don't know. That's what I'm very excited for. I hope with this merger and just with Doctor Doom, I hope Marvel figures out how to write a villain again.
Yeah.
Because Doom is the Marvel villain. Yes, you have all your galactic villains. You have Galactus, you have Thanos, you have the guy who's just a head in a gold suit.
It's not Morbo. It's not Mobius. MODOK?
MODOK. Or Mordok. Whatever.
I think it's MODOK.
Yeah.
Because it's like one of those weird acronyms.
Of course,
they forced it to work.
You have those guys that are huge players, obviously.
Yeah.
But Doom is the Marvel villain.
Yeah.
He controls he is the Lex Luthor of Marvel, but bigger than Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
He's such a big villain that they don't try and go after him anymore.
No, they're just he's doing his thing.
He had we just gave him a country
he's got
to
Latveria.
keep him quiet. That's the kind of villain that he is. And I just want them to figure it out.
I know.
Give him Latvia.
It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens now. I think as Marvel fans, this is great news. I think in almost every other aspect is probably not.
I know. But we've been talking about this for 20 minutes now.
I'll probably cut out some stuff.
No, it's all good stuff.
So we should probably get around to talking about what we're here to talk about.
Oh, I did have one more point. It's not like new news. It's like a quick one sentence thing. I think I brought this up to you already. It's a Disney thing, and I learned why Marvel Land is only happening at Disneyland. Did I talk to you about this?
No.
So in the 90s, when Marvel was selling off their property, there was a big fight between Disney and Universal for Marvel at their parks.
Yeah, that's why Universal had it for such a long time.
Yes. So what I found out is Marvel split the contract based off the Mississippi. So anything west of the Mississippi, Disney owns it in their parks, and anything west or anything east, Universal owns it, which is why at Universal Florida, there's already a Thor and a Captain America and a Spider-Man thing.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, and I'm curious how that's going to play into the global Disney parks. Paris, Shanghai, Tokyo.
Well, they already have like an Iron Man ride at Disney Shanghai.
Sure.
I want to say it's one of the Chinese Disney parks already has an Iron Man ride.
It's probably Hong Kong because Shanghai has the Tron ride.
It does, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Which apparently is like the best ride in any Disney park ever.
I want to go on it so bad.
I know.
I really want to go. God damn it.
I know. But that's just like my one little fact.
That is
really
interesting.
Last week.
That man. Oh, like that's gonna make sense. Yeah. So that's why we're getting. Oh, that also means that the Tower of Terror will continue to be the Tower of Terror. I imagine. Out in Hollywood Studios. I don't know. I always want to call it MGM Studios because that's what it was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It's still MGM Studios to me. Fuck it. Okay.
Okay. Let's talk about Superman and Batman.
I really like the first half of this Superman episode.
I was content with this episode.
So what I liked about it, and I remember watching this one. Like this was one of the ones that I always remember watching as a kid. And what I like about it is the first part, especially, it plays out like a film noir story. Like Superman has voiceover narration. And I know that they were going for like a noir sort of thing, but that's also inherent to comics.
Yeah.
Like I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I just reread like the Superman Batman comics where it has both of their like internal monologues going simultaneously. And it's great. I mean, it's all written by Jeff Loebs. That's part of the reason. But I liked that here. Like I liked that Superman was kind of walking us through the events like as he's dead and like the whole mystery behind it. What did you think of the use of voiceover here?
I was fine. I was happy with the change of pace. I think we had the same conversation in that Batman episode.
Oh yeah, which Batman episode had voiceover in it?
It was the one where it was the three stories.
POV.
Yes, the like episode 5.
It's really early on. Yeah,
it was the Montoya
Bullock random
guy,
Cadet Jones.
Yeah,
fuck, I don't know.
And it was kind of the same story too.
Yeah, it kind of was similar, a little bit. Yeah,
I liked the change of pace.
I liked it as well. Did you like that we finally got or at least for a bit, a Clark-focused story?
Until he blew up.
Yes. Because he was really being a reporter. Like,
yes,
to the point,
finally.
To the point where I had a moment where, like, shouldn't he be Supermaning? Like, he spent all night, like, reading through this police report. Like, there must have been some crises going on. Did he just, like, zip out?
He even made the point when he's driving the evidence. He's like, I could fly it over, but then that might expose my identity.
Yeah. Or even when he is believed dead and like his mom gets the call and
I love that part.
Well, like, oh yeah, like, oh, I guess you just can't be Clark anymore. It's like, but I am Clark.
Yeah.
Like this might be the one time in this whole series we've seen why it's important to him that he also gets to be Clark.
But we also see the reason that he is Superman is he was willing to give up his secret identity for this one person.
Yeah.
Like he said, like, if this plan doesn't go through, I will personally deliver this to the mayor. And if he asks why I have it, I'm just going to tell him.
Yeah. This is like, I think, some of the most character we've gotten out of him this entire time, which I think then for me was a little bit disappointing when the plot started to converge and it got to the end and just became another like generic battle of him against like this armored helicopter because it had to be that. Like, it felt like this is a character-heavy story until they had to bring in some action beats.
I was going to say, this is like, we always bring up that they end up having Superman fight another big bad thing.
Yeah.
And for the most part, yeah, that didn't happen until the last like 3 minutes.
Which I liked. I liked we got some real stuff from Lois in this as well. Like, she's actually going off and reporting. Like, what I love too is that she was upset that Clark died in the right kind of way. Like, it wasn't like, oh my God, like I had all these like hidden passions, feelings for him. She's like, no, she just liked him.
Yeah, like he was a great friend and didn't tell him that enough.
Yeah, and I really liked that moment between them. And like, even Superman is standing there being like, what the fuck do I do with this?
Yeah.
You can tell he's like, oh.
I'll tell him.
I'll pass that along. I'll slip him a note in class.
Yeah. And then the ending I loved, but we'll save that for a second. There was another point I was going to bring up about, I was going to make fun of Justice League. You're like, oh, you mean Lois didn't like go and not report for a year after Clark dies?
And just give up on it entirely? Yeah. No, I also had I guess we should say in this episode, like...
Oh, Clark blows up.
Clark, he is trying to prove that a man on death row is innocent, and
It's very 12 Angry Men style.
It is, yeah. He tracks down like one last piece of evidence on a floppy disk. Made me so happy.
Very loose evidence, but it worked.
It worked. Yeah, his pizza got delivered at the exact same time
moment
as the murder. But hey,
died,
it works. It works. Whatever. So it's on a floppy disk, and then his car is blown up, and he's not only presumed dead, but like there's a funeral for him and everything. And I love because eventually, obviously, he comes back at the end, and I love how they do that.
I was so curious how they were going to handle that.
Do you think it worked well?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah,
because I honestly forgot it. So the way he gets out of it is, he basically claims amnesia because it's the '90s cop out.
Yeah,
and he calls Lana because Lana knows his secret already, and he convinces Lana to go along with it. He's like, oh yeah, he was sick and not feeling well, so I've been taking care of him.
Yeah, and like they set up enough groundwork to get away with it, where it's like. There's no body recover. There's like, is he dead? Is he not? Sort of thing. And then eventually, when he's at that point where he's like, I'll just tell the governor who I am. And then Lois lets slip. Oh yeah, like the eyewitness has like terrible vision and couldn't have seen a damn thing. He's like, oh, maybe I can get out of this eventually.
Yeah.
And so he does. But yeah, I love that. And I even love when then Lois shows up. And
that's the point I wrote down. Yeah. Lana says he could barely remember his name. And Lois retorts, but he remembered your name and apparently your phone number.
Like, is it weird that this show has done more with Lana in one episode and like 2 random appearances than they've done with Lois over the course of like
that is a problem.
30 episodes.
It's one of those things where it's like it shows how much further you can go when they already know your secret.
Yeah, but
because that's so much more fun.
Yes, but
at
the same time, like I feel like in the DCEU, the fact they just skipped that entirely undermined that.
I'll rephrase it. It's so much more fun when one person knows the secret.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I'm gonna bring it to Danny Phantom, where the 2 best friends know, but the parents don't, and that's one of the most fun.
It's a fun dynamic.
Yeah. The jokes and the dynamic that comes out of that are so entertaining. Of Jack and Maddie always trying to find, like, they know there's a ghost in the house, but they can't figure it out. And then Sam and Danny are on the side, being like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then when Jazz figures it out, the sister figures it out.
It's a good show.
It's such a good show.
It's a great show. Yeah,
God, but no, Butch Hartman.
I thought that slightly cop-outy in the sense like, oh yeah, I got thrown from the vehicle. I couldn't remember, that sort of thing. But at least they gave an explanation.
Yeah.
I did see an interview again with Henry Cavill today, and someone asked him, like, are you guys ever going to address the fact how Clark Kent just shows up again in the world and he's not dead even though it's a funeral? And his explanation is basically like, well, in all these movies you have like some level of suspension of disbelief, and so we don't have the time to really address it ever. And like, no,
good answer.
No,
that's the Zack Snyder answer we were looking for.
Exactly. It's like, no, we suspend the disbelief for the impossible, not the implausible or the downright stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, the way they did in the comics wasn't great either. Do you know how they?
He was like trapped in like ice.
No. So they said that Clark was still trapped in the rubble after the Doomsday fight. And at the time, that version of Supergirl wasn't actually a Kryptonian. She was this weird alien, I think called like the Matrix or something like that was essentially a shapeshifter.
Okay.
So Supergirl shapeshifted into the appearance of either Superman or Clark, and then had one rescue the other from the rubble, and that's like, that's how he's still here.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I accept that. I feel like Martian Manhunter has done similar things.
Yeah. I think I liked how they did it in Superman Doomsday, actually, where he was a war correspondent. So they're just kind of like, well, like,
yes, that's what I was thinking.
This sort of thing happens. So when he comes back, it's like, oh no, he was okay. But like that works because then it like put him outside of the city during the fight, so we can kind of get away with that.
Yeah.
When was the last time you watched Superman Doomsday?
It's been a long time.
I feel like I might go rewatch it again soon because in my mind it holds up. But I'm curious how well it actually does hold up.
And I feel like the shapeshifter cop-out is a very common thing.
It is.
Because like they've done it with Batman. I feel like Superman's dressed up as Batman a few times to cover. Martian Manhunter is always...
get that exact thing in a few weeks, actually.
It's one of my favorite... There's a Brave and the Bold opening that has that, where they're fighting, I want to say Bane. And like Bane goes to punch Batman, and Batman like catches it and throws him. and then Batman pulls off his mask and it's Superman, and then Superman pulls off his face and it's the bat cowl.
Oh my god, it would be that.
Yeah.
Did you ever play any of the Lego Batman games?
I think I played the very first one.
Okay, because in the second one, that's when they started doing like full-on storylines and actually had voices in it. Mm-hmm. And there is a scene in that where like a huge heavy object drops on top of Batman and Superman is hit with kryptonite, and you think that they're both dead, but then they've like swapped beforehand.
Yeah.
It's pretty clever, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I love those moments.
I know.
They're so silly.
That was the point that I wanted to bring up before about Lois kind of carrying on. I found it very similar to an episode we're going to get to in a few years when Superman is destroyed.
Oh, yeah, by
Batman.
Batman's
the only one that doesn't believe it.
God.
And you see him working overtime to like prove it to everyone else.
It is heartbreaking.
And I feel like that was, oh my God,
it's so heartbreaking.
It is. And I feel like that's kind of how Lois was handling that.
It's like Batman has a heart.
Yeah.
Like if anything, he is more sensitive than other people sometimes. Mm-hmm. If he actually loves, he just loves.
Then on a similar note, it's the I think it's a JLU episode when Wonder Woman is blown up and caught under rubble, and he freaks out. He's like trying to pick off all the small rocks.
He's like digging through it. Yeah.
And she's like, "What are you doing?"
It's like I'm right here. Don't. Yeah.
What do you think you're gonna do that I can't?
Oh, he's just a softie at heart.
I know.
One thing that I did think was interesting is the villain in this is the Detective Bowman. Mm-hmm. Who do you remember him from the first Lightner episode?
Vaguely.
So yeah, he was like one of the red herrings for the episode where someone's trying to kill Lois. And I remember we talked about the fact then that they never resolved that red herring. Like there's that random shot of him like watching Lois like go to bed like through binoculars.
I forgot about that.
And they never bring it back up. Like they're just like, we just kind of assume like, oh, I guess he was just doing his job, that sort of thing. But like I remember him being evil, and that's because it was this episode where, yeah, I don't even know why he framed.
I have that in here. There was no reasoning.
Yeah, I don't think he's just a crooked.
There was no motive.
Yeah, he's just
which kind of upset me.
Crooked cop, and it's a little like. I don't know. I guess you have to kind of give them like a little bit of leeway on some of like the mechanics for them to do a more interesting story. Mm-hmm. At least they got, I think, the character dynamics down in this really well. Mm-hmm. Like the Superman Clark dynamic, the Lois Clark dynamic, even with his parents, even with Jimmy, like it's all there.
Mm-hmm. There was two things that kind of made me feel a little uneasy about this episode. When they get the evidence and they drive to the governor's house.
Well, because I mean, I don't know if this is actually how it works, but it's always like the governor can issue a stay of execution.
Yeah, so like I was fine with that. Mm-hmm. What I didn't understand was the butler comes. He's like, "Oh yeah, the governor is already going to oversee the execution because it's a voting year, it's an election year." I'm like, "Is that a thing? Are there people that are that like pro
death penalty?
Pro death penalty that they would vote for a governor that goes to watch the executions?"
I guess that would be true, but at the same
time... I mean, that's a very Texas thing. And as someone from Texas, that sounds very weird.
But, and...
As someone who... as a state that named their execution chair as their shock chair...
What?
Yeah, it had a name.
What was the name?
It was,
Smoke If You Got Him?
No, it was like a pet name.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Oh, yeah, it was. Because I remember like when they retired the chair, everyone's like, oh no, like... Betsy's getting retired.
It's like a whole national day of
I was in like 6th grade, and that was so normal for me.
It was like JFK's funeral, the retirement of the execution chair, like the two real somber events. One of the issues I had was when they have
Sparky.
Old Sparky. I wasn't.
Of course that is
not far off. Oh my god, that's pretty bad. Like when Superman realizes he has to get down there to stop it from happening. I had a bit of an issue with him just like breaking in and just pulling a guy out of
a gas chamber.
One,
that seems like cruel and unusual punishment, right?
Yeah, I don't know how they were doing. Could they not have shown lethal injection? Maybe it was that why they didn't.
Maybe.
Well, I guess the advantage here is that he can then like the twirly thing and suck the poisonous gas up into the atmosphere. But I have a bit of an issue with that because like that's one thing about Superman is that he never operates like outside the law. Like he's a vigilante, but he never like he doesn't. Well, he's not supposed to. He doesn't kill. Like he doesn't. he adheres to the law.
Yes,
and
he does his best too.
Yeah, he was doing the right thing, but I had a bit of an issue with that. Him just like literally busting in there and breaking up a like official thing.
I guess. I mean, we see how far he'll go to save a life.
That's true.
Like he was going to give up his identity.
Yeah,
I feel like that was like he's breaking the law for the betterment.
that's true.
Unlike Batman, like yes, he breaks the law, but it's usually as like a torture technique.
Yeah. Okay, this is real. Nah, this episode's already been long. I had a long moral question to ask in regards to Batman and Superman. Well, maybe we'll do another time.
Well, yeah,
it would take a long time. But I did think it was interesting. The whole like execution thing loops back around at the end with Bowman.
That's also like I don't know what the culture was like in the late '90s, but like
That's dark.
I don't like seeing people on death row.
Yeah, it was a really dark ending.
Yeah.
I mean, and they have that little moment where he's like, oh my God, like Clark Kent is Superman.
Yeah.
And then they pull the switch. We don't see whether he actually gets killed or not. I think we can assume he does. Pretty dark, though, for a
Very
kids
dark, yeah.
show. And even a kids show that's known for going dark places. Mm-hmm. I feel like, is this the darkest thing we've seen yet in this?
At the moment, yes.
I feel like it is.
I feel like the darkest and saddest moment is when Ace dies, in my opinion.
Oh.
I know.
Yeah. I don't know if I would call that dark, though.
I think it's just sad.
It is really sad, but I mean, it's handled so beautifully well, though.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, overall...
One of the two saddest moments.
What's the other?
The ending of the Superman birthday episode.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Oh. Hey, we have feelings.
I don't like having feelings.
No, that's why I shut them off. But overall, I think this is one of the better episodes we've had in a while, actually.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And then, what did you think of our Batman episode this week? Or do you have anything else to say on Superman?
No, I'm good.
Okay, yeah.
We're running really late.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll cut out some stuff.
I liked it. I mean, I loved Ventriloquist.
Yeah.
Whenever we had it, because we had him twice in BTAS.
Yeah, I looked it up because I remember there being a similar plot to this, but it was in The Batman. There's an episode where Arnold goes like clean. He goes legit. I feel like I'm missing the right word there. Straight.
Yeah, sane,
whatever. Yeah, and he like becomes like a puppeteer on a kids show. Mm-hmm. But then like it's like Mr. Snoodles or something like that. Like the puppet that he makes for the kids show and and Scarface like duke it out. Mr. Snoods, they like duke it out. And, like,
okay.
But that one's actually pretty dark because he's cleared as sane, and then it's actually Hugo Strange who plants. He's the one who like plants the doll.
That sounds great.
Yeah, so it's actually very plot wise. It's very similar to this. It's actually almost the exact same thing. That's why I was a little thrown. But yeah, we had 2 episodes, I think, with him, like major episodes in BTAS before. What did you think of the new design? I did bring up a photo of I had a photo up of the old one in case you forgot what he looked like.
I vaguely remember Scarface in the old one. I feel like this one doesn't look as menacing.
I think the Scarface looks more menacing now. I think I prefer the old Wexler. Wexler? What?
Arnold?
Yeah, Arnold Vosloo. No.
Yeah. I do like the glasses that
Wesker.
just like hide it.
Yeah.
They just hide his face, yeah.
But I think I like old Ventriloquist and new Scarface.
Okay. I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
Because the new Scarface looks more like the movie Scarface.
Yeah, exactly. He's got the nice suit going.
Oh yeah,
I like his suit.
I do love when the plot of the episode is Arnold is deemed sane, even though he doesn't feel it.
Yeah.
And then as the episode progresses, you find out that he still holds Scarface somewhere in his mind. So when he finally pulls the puppet back out, the puppet throws like he throws dynamite at Batman, and then he throws something at the goons at the very end.
Oh yeah.
And just the small detail of the animators like moving Arnold's hand to move the ventriloquist limb was so adorable to me for some reason.
Especially when it's like pushing the button on the dynamite.
Yeah.
Like set the timer. It's like, oh my God, I love they went to like that detail.
It's so adorable. Yeah. It's like it's one of those things where it's supposed to be so menacing, but it's so cute.
It's just adorable. But I like. There's a lot of things I like about how this episode plays out. I like that we've had this like redemptive arc a lot with a lot of the villains. This is the first, like you can almost kind of feel like this was an episode they had like maybe in the, like sitting around with BTOS, they got a chance to do when it came back around.
Yeah.
But what I like here is that this is the first time where Bruce/Batman is really committed to helping this guy.
And you also see that he owns the halfway house. It's the Wayne Gardens halfway house.
He owns the halfway house where Arnold is staying. He gives him a job at Wayne Enterprises. He goes up and like greets him in person.
Because he's one of those villains where, like, yes, there are villains that are kind of crazy and they do have mental problems. But this is one that it's like he is not in control of his problem.
He's full on. I think schizophrenia is. I think it'd be accurate in this case. Yeah.
And so Batman knows like he doesn't deserve to be treated like Harley or Poison Ivy.
And I even like that.
Or like Two-Face, because I feel like Two-Face is the darker version of Ventriloquist.
Yeah, like the more literal version.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And what I like about this is not only does Bruce go out of his way to help him, but when Arnold starts to slip and when he goes back to being a criminal again, Batman and Bruce still defend him and still try and save him.
Absolutely.
You know, in comparison to other times where we've seen him like, well, I gave you a shot and you fucked it up, or like with Poison Ivy where he didn't believe her at all. Here he's like still actively helping him.
Yeah,
you know,
because you see the goons come after him.
Yeah,
and he beats up the goons. He's like, Arnold is off limits.
Yeah,
you don't go near him anymore.
I also love what would you call that punch he does? It's like when like the guy's running up behind him and he just stands still. I don't like the
what they do 3 times.
Twice,
right?
Yeah, the casual. I call it the casual punch. I don't know what you call it, but like
yeah, the casual smack. I think.
Yeah, someone's running up behind him. He just stands still. He doesn't look. He just holds his hand up and hits him. I love that they did it once and they brought it back around again.
Yeah,
it's like it's a little moment. It's a little like cheesy, but it works.
That's one of those jokes that like every kid, no matter the generation, that kid will laugh at that joke.
I laughed.
Oh yeah,
I laughed really hard at it.
It's great,
actually. Even they did it a second time. But so one thing that you even commented, because I got here early enough for you to like be watching the end of the episodes.
Don't ruin my secrets, Chris.
I got to see this.
Don't let them know that I watched the episodes immediately before recording this.
But I got to see this in real time when you're like, oh, so when like the landlord at the halfway house is like a little person, and you point out like at some point later on, as Arnold's being like terrorized by Scarface, there's someone actually running around as him in like the puppet suit. It's like, okay, this has to be a little person. It's probably the landlord.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's just
there's
some other random guy.
Yeah.
And I was really thrown off by that because like why?
I don't know.
It's not even really a red herring. I guess it's like it's a slight
I think they
diversion.
Maybe they just didn't want to have one little person in the show.
I guess.
Yeah, I also brought up the point of like that is one of the treatments for Arnold is he's just not allowed to be around anyone shorter than 4'11".
It's probably for the best.
A little bit.
Might go into a relapse. But so I forget who did all this in the first place. Was the henchmen themselves? They planned all of it, right?
The henchmen set up Scarface's return, and then at the end we learned that Scarface had always been there, and he was just waiting for kind of the heat to die down.
Okay, that's right.
And he turned against the goons because they sped up his plans. He said the muscle's not supposed to think.
Yeah, because I think for some reason I seem to have recalled a situation where like Arnold wrote those letters to himself as Scarface and planted them, but that's not what this plot line is. I don't think it's a plot of the Batman either, so I'm not sure where I'm getting that from.
I don't know. That would make more sense of like while he's asleep.
Maybe that's in the comics.
No, I feel like I've seen that story before too.
Oh, you know what? I think I know what I'm thinking of, and it's not Ventriloquist. It's a different villain, and we'll get to it at the end of the run of the new Batman Adventures. I think it's what I'm thinking of.
Okay,
doesn't matter. But did you little detail? Did you catch the cameo from Lois and Clark?
I did.
Yeah,
I was gonna bring that up. Yeah.
Did you catch it, or did you read it and then catch it?
I read it then caught it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing popped up before the scene had started.
Oh, that's right. Because when you watch on your computer, those little things pop up.
Yeah.
See, I watch it on originally my Xbox, but now, thank God, on my Apple TV. Thank God. Fucking hate that thing so much.
Let's bring up. We brought it up before. How DC loves to just brutally destroy any non-human villain.
So I actually have a note about this.
Do you?
Because I guess in an interview, Bruce Timm said that the Fox Kids censored allowed them to constantly destroy Scarface because he wasn't deemed as a living character. Mm-hmm. So he was the only character the production staff was allowed to like vent like their darkness onto. So that's why like every time he's in an episode, he gets like shot, he gets burned, he gets decapitated, he gets like chopped up in a fan.
Yeah, in this one, you see him, Ventriloquist unloads a full round on him. And you see him fall, and you heard me go, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then he falls into a fan.
And gets chopped the fuck up.
Yeah, it's destroyed even more.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus. Because I brought it up before. They also do this a lot with Red Tornado.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because he's an android,
Justice,
so we can do whatever we want to him.
And the Young Justice episode centered around him. You see him get all of his limbs just torn off.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of a head at the end of it.
They did it in Justice League, too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, they tore apart Cyborg. Mm-hmm. But it's fine. He'll just piece himself back together. It's not a big deal.
No.
I feel like Teen Titans must have done that with Cyborg a little bit too, right?
Not as no, because they played up the human side of Cyborg.
That's true. He's more organic in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's 2 episodes that are based around that. There's Only Human, which is a great episode where he's like trying to go back to his sports side.
Yeah.
And then there's Some of the Parts.
He infiltrates Hive, right? And so
yes, and he's Oliver Stone.
No, he's Victor
Stone. Who's Oliver Stone?
He's a writer-director.
No, that's what I'm thinking of. He infiltrates it as a writer-director.
He infiltrates Hollywood and directs Wall Street.
Yes. I don't think I've ever seen a movie of his. I don't know why that's the name that popped up.
I don't know.
Victor Stone.
Wall Street, JFK.
No.
I don't know.
0 for 2.
There's more.
Victor
Platoon,
Stone.
I think that was him.
Okay, no.
Yeah.
Victor Stone, thank you.
Yeah, he goes in as Victor Stone.
No, the one that I was thinking of is Some of His Parts is like episode 4, where his battery runs out.
Oh, yeah.
And he ends up in kind of like the island of lost toys of all of these robots that are trying to make him more robotic.
Didn't Futurama do an episode like that too? Isn't that when Bender becomes a wooden Bender?
Oh, that's the reverse of it. Yeah.
Okay.
when he goes to the island. But I just remember like there's a scene that like was very scary as a kid where you see Cyborg kind of locked in place and they're putting this, because half his face is robotic.
Yeah.
They're putting the second half of the robotic face over his human half.
Oh God.
And it's the first person perspective of the mask coming down into commercial. Oh, and I remember like
intense.
Seeing that in 2003, like I'm like, oh shit, or 2006, probably 2006. Great episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to the story. They love to just destroy Ventriloquist.
They do.
Scarface.
But I will say that at least in this particular episode, in doing so, they actually end up giving Arnold a happy ending.
They do, which is nice.
Because I looked it up, and he makes 2 other more cameo appearances. One is in the Justice Lords episode. He's like in the background of the lobotomized Arkham.
Okay.
And then I guess we see Scarface the puppet in like the cave in Batman Beyond, and I think in a Justice League episode as well. But he actually he's I think the one villain who actually gets like a happy ending here.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's like he never comes back. Like he's rid of Scarface at this point. And I remember
that is Batman's first and I think only victory.
Only victory, right? I think we may have mentioned this in the Superman episode Father's Day with Calabac, where there's like a maitre d' that's voiced by the same voice actor and kind of looks like Arnold, but he looks like the original Arnold, not the new one. I went and actually looked up a photo of it because I was like, is it? Because there was like this idea, like, oh, is it supposed to be like proof that the ventriloquist gets a happy life?
Oh, okay.
So it's more like the original look of him. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
it's kind of like right in between the two.
Yeah, so we can run with this theory that after this, he moves off to Metropolis and he becomes a maitre d' at a really fancy restaurant and lives a nice, happy life.
That sounds great.
I know.
Good for you, Arnold.
I know. You finally got one.
Yeah.
You did it, buddy.
You did it, Batman.
Yeah.
After all these years, you got one.
Yeah, that's all he needed was one.
Yep.
So, yeah, but it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
I actually quite liked both of these.
Me too. I mean, I always love ventriloquist episodes.
Yeah, I didn't come out of this going like, oh fuck, we have to try and talk about this for an hour. Yeah. Any other thoughts, or should we?
Let's wrap this baby up.
Mosey our way onto bat plugs. What do you got to plug this week?
Not much. I've been watching a lot of shit, and it's not worth plugging.
Okay, that's fair. That saves me a lot of time and effort. I appreciate that.
The one thing I do want to plug is I meant to plug this a few weeks ago. Do you watch Rocket Jump on YouTube? Have you ever seen?
I think you've sent me some stuff.
Okay, they make amazing videos. They've been making amazing content for over 10 years now on YouTube. Mm-hmm. But they did kind of different from their normal stuff. They did a very interesting video essay called "How Star Wars Was Saved in the Edit," and it's about kind of the editing process that went into making Star Wars the hit that it was. Mm-hmm. And it starts off talking about the first showing that George Lucas showed to like Spielberg and a handful of other directors, and how it was just garbage.
Yeah.
And how those people kind of took the footage and kind of picked up all the scraps that were on the editing floor and made Star Wars the movie that it is. Mm-hmm. And giving a lot of credit to the person that like no one ever talks about, who is George Lucas's wife, was the main editor, and she won the Oscar that year for editing.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's just it's like a 20-minute mini doc about it, and it's great. It's really fascinating.
Yeah. I mean,
it's kind of a big, just like fuck you, George Lucas kind of thing, but it's also really great.
It's further proof that even way back in the very first Star Wars movie, that Star Wars is kind of better when it's not in George Lucas's hands.
Yeah. And then they also go into a lot of why George keeps remaking the movies, is because that was his original vision, and he's like still a little bitter with the editing team for
I'm sure,
cutting out a lot of the stuff that he wanted.
I think he is a really great writer. That's not even fair to say. That's not true. He's very creative.
There you go.
He created an incredible world.
He's got a great personality.
But I don't think he's necessarily that great of a filmmaker.
I agree with that.
Because generally the better Star Wars stuff has been stuff that he's been less involved in. Mm-hmm. Generally. Speaking of ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool though. I'll go watch that because that's really interesting.
And then Vox, another YouTube video. I think I brought this up to you already. Vox did a really fun video about why the Star Wars Christmas special is as bad as it is.
Have you ever watched it?
I've not. I've seen parts of it.
I've never watched it. Yeah.
But it's really interesting, and they talk about how like it's hard to think now that Star Wars wasn't always this giant universe, how everything is connected. Mm-hmm. And when the special came out, it was just, and also that Star Wars was supposed to be a flop. Like no one expected it to be a hit in the 70s. The reason the movie or the special was out was to the same reason we have filler movies every other year. It was to keep kids interested and keep toy sales up the Christmas of 78.
Yeah.
In between episode 4 and 5. Mm-hmm. And how like it was completely out of like George. I don't think George Lucas had anything to do with it. They show like snippets of interviews with Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford, and how they're just like, I can't talk about it. Carrie's like, I've forgotten so much about that.
Why would you want to at that point?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think Harrison was on Kimmel, and Kimmel's like, well, we have a short. And he's like, if you play that short, I am walking off the stage.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a fun like 6-minute video. This is really cute.
Oh, I will also go check that out.
Yes. What have you been watching, listening, reading to?
I've been finally taking full advantage of that movie pass. After having it for like 2 months, I finally went. So I've seen a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not going to plug all of it because I think some of it's better than others. Actually, the funny thing is I think that one of the things I'm going to plug is something that I didn't even use with Movie Pass. It was on Netflix. You must have seen it when it came out, The Adventures of Tintin.
Oh, yes. It's great.
So I rewatched it because someone was like, was it actually really good? And like as I was rewatching it, I feel like it suffers a little bit in the same way that Speed Racer does, where at times it gets a little too childish in its tone. But my God, can Steven Spielberg construct an action sequence?
Yeah.
Like, because the one that always sticks out in my mind, I think most people's minds, is the oneer as they're like going the chase of the Falcons. Like at one point, a Falcon's got like 3 pieces of paper and is trying to get away from Tintin and Captain Haddock, and it's all done in this one continuous shot as they're jumping like through buildings and tanks and like it's impossible to describe without just watching. It's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
But what's amazing is that he always sets it up so that there is a lot of possible outcomes in that thing, right? So it's not only that like they're chasing after like a creature, but that creature has 3 pieces of paper, so they have to get all of them, mind you. So there's a whole bunch of different outcomes come along, and there's even another sequence where it's like a flashback of like 2 pirates fighting, and there's that brilliant point where one of them's trying to blow up the ship, so he's lit a string of gunpowder. And so as they're fighting, one is trying to snuff out the gunpowder and one's trying to reignite it. You're like, holy shit, like this could just be, in most people's hands, this would just be a sword fight. But like Spielberg has found a way to also put another level of like detail into it and make it the fight about something that's not just the fight. No one knows how to do that like him.
Right.
It's fucking incredible. Like I think overall the film is kind of meh. I would have liked to see them do more, but I mean, it's worth a watch even for just the level of detail he uses to construct his action sequences. I think those are some of the best he's ever done because that medium gave him the freedom to do whatever he could possibly do with it.
Does watching that get you more excited for Ready Player One?
I didn't even think about that actually, but yeah, I guess so. Because it's the similar sort of thing, right? I mean, it's all a computer-created world. It's all done with motion capture, and I'm really excited to see how that car chase plays out.
Yeah,
I think that in particular looks really amazing.
I'm so. I had a really great talk. I had my office Christmas party last night. Had a really great talk with a couple people there about that movie. I'm very excited for it. Yeah. And I need to rewatch Tintin because I also haven't seen it since it came out.
Yeah,
and I don't think I appreciated it.
It's fun. I think
what it was back then.
I think it's a little underappreciated, but it's pretty solid. I think actually I'm just going to go ahead and plug that. So
okay,
and it's worth mentioning. You and I have both seen The Last Jedi, but we're not going to talk about it at all here. We're only going to talk about it on our crossover podcast, which we're recording in a few days, and hopefully will be out within the end of the week when this comes out.
Yes.
So, but until then, I think we're done.
We did it.
Finally. So if you want to reach out to us, ask us questions, or like, I don't know, maybe you've been watching along too and want to offer your thoughts about some of these shows. They're even more accessible now, guys, that they're all on Apple TV.
What do you guys think about the Disney Fox thing?
Oh, I would love to hear that actually. Yeah. Because I think we have I'm not gonna say a different perspective, but like we're both industry adjacent. So I think we have.
Yeah. As someone who is under the life of the mouse.
This is true, yeah.
Under the banner of House Mouse.
Under that big white thumb.
Yes.
Yeah, I would be very curious what you guys think about that. Yeah, so like write in and tell us. But we're at Timm Talk Pod on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, and Gmail. I am at Lordifer on Instagram and Twitter. I barely ever post anything. My life's pretty boring.
You've been posting your Legos.
That's true, yeah.
Got the nice Lego advent calendar.
My brother's girlfriend, Tiffany. Hi, Tiffany. You don't listen. Why am I saying hi? Wes, say hi to Tiffany for me. Yeah, she got Wes and I each Lego Star Wars advent calendar.
Aw.
Like, there's finally some good stuff. Like this last week, like the Millennium Falcon is one of the most recent ones. Like, thank God, because some of them were real duds. There's one character I still don't know who it is. Like, he's just in a generic like rebel uniform. I can't even tell if it's Rogue One or Force Awakens. No idea who that is. One of them was literally a box of crap. It was a wooden box with like a wrench and a blaster.
Perfect.
Thank God they finally gave us some cool shit with like the little mini Millennium Falcon. It's awesome. But yeah, I've been posting that. That's about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And where are you, Cameron?
You can find me at CamDexter_adventures, and I'll plug my art one when I make some more art.
Yeah, get on that at some point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where can we find this?
I already said that.
Great. Well, find us there then, and we'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
No, probably not, but we'll talk to someone.
we'll just shout into the void.
Yep. See you later.
Thanks. Bye.
Hey, listen to Sequel Squeal, the podcast where we watch a movie and all its sequels, right, Benny?
Yes, you are correct, Chad Foglin.
Right here on the Nerdist School Network.
Yay, us!
Yeah, we're done. That was good.
The Nerdist School Network. For class and show information, visit nerdistschool.com.